Hello, hello, hello. This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I am here live with you guys to discuss the anniversary of Dark Shadows. On this day, June 27th, 1966, Dark Shadows debuted with its pilot episode, The Arrival of Victoria Winters and Burke Devlin. Victoria Winters, played by Alexandra Mulkey Isles, and Burke Devlin, played by Mitchell Ryan. Two people on a train, two people on a journey for entirely different reasons. Victoria gets off the train as after she contemplates, why she's come. She knows why. She's sitting on the train, and once she gets off of it, she sees a man in front of her. The man is Burke Devlin. Here's my question to you guys. My first full question. During the train ride, now Burke doesn't know why Victoria is there. He doesn't know why she's on the train. But is that something you got right away? That's my first question to you guys. Is that something you all got right away? Make sure chats are responding. All messages are visible. Yes. All messages should be visible. So that's my first question to you guys. Burke Devlin, who's on the same train as Victoria Winters, they're arriving on the same train. Now, to be clear, Victoria Winters does not know Burke Devlin. We know that now. That's something we know now. It's something we found out. They didn't know each other on the train. But is that something you thought right away? That's my first full question to you guys here tonight. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Susie! I thought maybe Burke knew at first, but I now know that he had no idea who she was. Yeah, it's something to consider too. Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. How are you this evening? Susie, how are you? That's something to consider too. When you're watching the pilot episode, it's not that the writers are trying to deceive you, but it's a fun little fan deception. You're sort of wondering, could Burke know about Victoria and he's just not saying anything? Now we find out that no, that's not the case. But it's always been interesting to me, like, what if he did know? That was, now he doesn't, to be clear. And when keep in mind, we first see the train coming toward us, and we hear the sound of the horn. Jennifer, I don't think Burke knew either. Cool. We see the train coming toward us. The horn sounds. We hear Alexander's introduction, and she looks up out the window, and then, we obviously know she's going to go to Collinsport and then up to Collinwood. We also meet Elizabeth and Roger in this episode. I'll get to them here in a moment. I want to get back to Burke and Vicky. On the train, Victoria's sort of origin of how she got to this point is told in pieces. Some of it's told on the train, some of it's told at the restaurant. And I love how they do this. It was really, really smart. You get the first flashback of how somebody she worked with, or even maybe lived at the Foundling Home as well. Keep in mind, Victoria Winters was raised in a Foundling Home. If you don't know what a Foundling Home is, it is a orphanage. So she's packing, and the girl calls out, "Hey, you're packing my slip." Victoria's excited. She wants to come to Collinsport. Sorry. Excuse me. So with Victoria packing her things during the flashback, she's so excited, right? Her friend's like, "Why do you want to go to a? You could go anywhere. You could go anywhere." And even the woman on the train, who Victoria is not paying attention to, says that same thing. Why are you coming to a place like Collinsport? Like, the train hadn't made a regular stop there in 5 years. Susie, I think the scene is set up for the audience to think that Burke knew her. You almost you almost get the feeling she was being followed by Burke because you can see his reflections in the window. Jojo didn't like Maggie when she first appeared, but the man who played Burke first was way better than Anthony George. Yeah, yeah, we can get into that tonight too. Anthony George's portrayal of Burke, though. Oh my god. Well, I'll ask a question about that. Okay, did Anthony George? Here's my question about Anthony George to you, not just to JoJo, but to Susie, to Jennifer. Did Anthony George really stray from what Mitchell Ryan had done, or do you think the writers were writing for Anthony George's voice? That's my question. By the way, Patrick, my mutual friend Patrick McCray brought this up to me when we discussed this, so that's why I asked this. I'll ask that, and then I'm going to continue to talk while you guys think about that question. I'll repeat it. So when Anthony George replaces Mitchell Ryan way later on, not in this episode, it's not till way, way later, not till way after Barnabas's arrival, et cetera, et cetera. So with this, did Anthony George stray from what Mitchell Ryan was doing, or did the writers write for Anthony George's voice or presence? That's my question to you all. Now, with this episode, because to be clear, that's what I just asked doesn't happen till way, way later. It doesn't even happen in this episode, let alone this season of Dark Shadows. In this episode, we have the arrival of two people, Victoria Winters, Burke Devlin. They get off the train. Burke Devlin offers Victoria Winters a ride into town. Burke Devlin says, "Welcome to the beginning and end of the world, Miss Winters. I'm not going that far, just to a place called Collinwood. Do you know it?" Burke Devlin goes from smiling to serious. Jojo, he strayed. Think of Bill Shatner, lower case version. He got to smoke on the show too. uh, we're gonna throw Anthony George under the bus. No, I'm not. I'm gonna talk about that here in a moment. Susie, that's a great question. I don't think he strayed too much. I think his character evolved. He wasn't the bad guy anymore. That's the thing. By the time George takes over, Burke Devlin is not really your heel anymore. And really, you could debate whether he was a heel at all to begin with this character here in Dark Shadows. I always look at Burke Devlin as an anti-hero. You guys do not have to look at him that way at all. So, but I know for those who think he was a villain, by the time Anthony George gets replaces Mitchell Ryan, he's not a heel at all. I'll touch upon this. Do I think Anthony George strayed? I don't think he personally strayed, because keep in mind, there's a moment where Anthony George on the show, Jennifer, I agree they made him softer and more understanding. Yes, there's that too. Not that Burke wasn't understanding before, but this is a very much Anthony George's is very much a softer demeanor. And I think really a lot of it has to do with a lot of things, not just Anthony George. Keep in mind, when is Anthony George introduced? He's literally introduced the episode after they announced Maggie's death. Where are him and Victoria Winter sitting? They're sitting, I believe, along Widow's Hill if not on the beach, and they're just talking. They can't believe it. Susie, yes, I was definitely going to say softer. Yeah, I would say Anthony George's performance is softer. I would also say there is touches of the old Burke Devlin. Here's where. In the Blue Whale, after Barnabas and him have a quarrel of words, what does Anthony George do? He picks up the phone and calls London to find out about Barnabas's so-called uncle. That's something that I could see Mitchell Ryan doing. Now, there's things I can't see Mitchell Ryan doing. I can't see Mitchell Ryan showing up at a costume party dressed up as Jeremiah. If he showed up at that costume party at all, and I agree with our buddy Patrick McCray, he's showing up either A, in a suit, or B, not at all. And I think that's the key differences. There's more to get to, but I want to stick to this episode, guys. So, thank you guys for playing along with that. For this episode, who's a character that you were most shocked by in this episode? I got mine for you. Ready? Maggie. Jennifer. He is definitely Mitch Ryan-like in his pursuit of Barnabas. Yeah, a bit. He backs off because of Victoria. I'm not so sure if Mitchell Ryan's Burke would have did that. I'm not sure. That's something we could debate all night long. Thank you all, by the way, for participating. Sorry about the cough. So, who was you guys' most shocking character in episode 1, or a character that shocked you? Mine was Maggie Evans a bit. Catherine Lee Scott's character, the blonde wig, not the blonde wig, by the way. It's always great to see different female characters and have them be completely opposite of the character we just met in Victoria Winters. Here's Maggie Evans. She's straightforward. She's pure sassy. She takes no prisoners, and you love her for it. And that's what really shocked me. She's just like, tells Victoria Winters, take one good look in that mirror, honey, because that beautiful hair will be white and will be gray. JoJo, total Brooklyn Maggie was, yeah. Was she your most shocking character, JoJo? She was mine for episode 1. Who was your most shocking character for episode 1? By the way, I want to thank everybody who's in the room so far. Thank you all so much for joining me. Susie, I guess Roger was the most shocking. He was so angry and mean. I would have been so scared of him. He crushed that glass in one hand. Yeah, the frozen glass. Jennifer, doesn't she call her a jerk in the first episode? Yes! Yes, Jennifer, she does call her a jerk. Maggie calls Victoria Winters a jerk. JoJo, it was early. It was early. She calls her jerk because she tells her that the town gossip tells her that Victoria Winters is taking a job up at Collinwood, and Victoria confirms that. And so their interactions are so great together. I really love the heart. What did you guys think of the heartbreak of Mr. Wells? Here's Burke Devlin. He walks into the hotel with Victoria Winters, and he goes, I'm Burke Devlin. Burke, he goes, I wired for 3 rooms. He's so mean to Mr. Wells. And Mr. Wells just hangs his head and he goes, yeah. He goes, there's a message for you. And he hands him the message. And he goes, when did this arrive? And he tells him. And then Burke has to leave. He tells, these go upstairs. Hers is right there. And Susie, I felt so bad for Mr. Wells. Yeah. And Victoria Winters goes, you knew him, don't you? And he goes, yeah, ever since he was this high. So ever since Burke was a kid, Mr. Wells knew him. The first time we find out Burke's from Collinsport is on the train station before the ride arrives for him and Victoria Winters. Um, so we know that coming into Collinsport that Burke is a native of Collinsport. He's from there. He was born there. It's really interesting to see him how he's keep in mind too, he's really nice to Victoria, like he's talking to her, smiling at her. Then when she mentions Collinwood, that attitude seems to change and that mood seems to change. It's because it does. And then when they get to obviously the hotel/restaurant, his mood changes even further. And he even says, you could take my advice, you could leave, meaning you could leave Collinsport, you could leave town, go back home. Burke Devlin is somebody who tells her to go back home, and no, he's not going to be the only one. Maggie Evans insists this as well. This is what's really interesting. We have people who don't know Victoria Winters, and they're telling her to go back home, not knowing that she's from a foundling home, not knowing that she's an orphan. They're telling her to go back home. So, what did you guys think of Burke Devlin's interaction with Mr. Wells? Mr. Wells was happy to see him at first. Not so much after that. Classic Gothic paperback telling first episode. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Susie, maybe Burke had the attitude because maybe mostly everyone from Collinsport turned their backs on him when he went to jail. That would include Mr. Wells. That's a great point Susie just made. Actually, that's something you're going to find out in later episodes, really, how not just Mr. Wells, but Sam Evans, somebody that Burke looked like a second father, everybody turned their back on him. That is a great point and observation by Susie. Great, great job. And so this is why he doesn't really care for the town. He doesn't really care for the Collins family. And really, the only one he's nice to is Sam Evans at first. Until he realizes Sam doesn't want to be around him, that Sam's been drinking, and that Burke finds it all too suspicious. And Burke's not wrong either. So Roger and Elizabeth have this very intense conversation as Victoria Winters is arriving on the train. And Roger says, why don't you just open the whole door, invite the whole town? What did you guys think of Roger's attitude here? He doesn't want he wants to send his son away, if not just deal with the matter himself. Him and David's relationship is not the best, by the way, for a long time. So what did you guys think of Roger here, Lewis Edmonds? Lady Barbie thought being cast away like that would be a chip on almost anyone's shoulder. Patrick Welsh. I think Burke remembers that Wells is a gossipy old busybody. That is true. Wells loves to gossip. That's something that's interesting, because Wells got, when in later episodes when we see Sam Evans and Mr. Wells, there's gossip exchange between Wells and Sam Evans. Great point by Patrick Welsh. Really, really great point. That's another thing too. Judge it. Roger's attitude towards David was the same the entire series. I can't wait till the ghost of Josette these early episodes. Susie, I originally thought, what is he hiding? Why doesn't he want anyone around Colin? Yeah, that's something that you sort of, whether Lewis Edmonds is meaning to sort of pick that up toward the audience, you're sort of getting that point. But not, here's the thing too, not just Roger. Elizabeth It's not that Elizabeth doesn't want Victoria there. She herself, her silence sometimes seems like, okay, what's this woman hiding here too? And then with Roger's more the vocal one about, he's vocal about not wanting Victoria there. He's the most vocal in the house about not wanting Victoria there until we meet David. And then he he comes across as somebody, as Susie pointed out too, seems like he's hiding something. And again, I don't know if this was on purpose by Lewis Edmonds. It probably could have been because he's a great actor and he knows how to sell. And it was probably on purpose by the writers too. Hey, we got to make this guy look shady or appear shady. And so, therefore, we are going to throw some shade at him. Joan Bennett, by the way, stars in this series. She is Elizabeth Collins Stoddard, the matriarch of Collinwood, a woman who spends 18 years on the estate. She will not leave the grounds because her husband, Paul Stoddard, left her. See how I did that? Left her. What did you guys think of Elizabeth in the first episode? I think she showed really my interpretation. Oh, Jojo, did we ever come across a resolution with Elizabeth's husband? Yes, he wasn't in the trunk, so it was all for naught. Actually, in the Leviathan arc, Paul Stoddard returns. If you watch the Leviathan arc, Paul Stoddard returns and he gets killed. Not before talking to Carolyn and talking to Elizabeth. By the way, Elizabeth gets recruited by the Leviathans. Um, my favorite sequence involving Paul Stoddard is when they have a picture of him and he's got this ridiculous look. When Dennis Patrick's got this, he did return for an episode. Ella, no, not just. That's funny. Not just an episode. He was in a couple episodes before they killed him off. And his explanation to being gone, he's clearly hiding something. Lady Barbie doll, of course, Elizabeth wouldn't want many people around Collinwood. She figures the more people around, the greater the chance of someone discovering her secrets. Good point. Jennifer, the casket shot of Paul is hilarious. Yes, yes, yes. That big smile, and like how Christopher Pennock sells he's afraid of this is hilarious. It's funny. It's pure gold. Um, they kill him off, and Christopher Pennock's character keeps saying about how he's torturing me. He's like I forget who's with him. I want to say Bruno. I could be mistaken. And they dig up Paul Stoddard's grave. Jojo Pennock was great. Yes, 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 he was. And then they have this picture of Dennis Patrick as Paul Stoddard, and he's got the most shit eating grin you've ever seen for a dead man. It's like, how is a dead person this happy? Oh my god. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Yeah, I think Elizabeth is somebody. It's not that she's wanting a bunch of people. Yeah, yeah. Jennifer, I wonder if maybe they forgot to shoot a scene with Dennis Patrick in the casket and sub that in. That's probably likely. They just used a photo of Dennis Patrick. So I do agree. They either forgot or just didn't have time, one or the other. Susie, Elizabeth was beautiful and very classy. The first shot of Elizabeth looking out the window was so perfect. Her serious expression, her dress, and jewels was perfect. Absolutely. Their outfits in Dark Shadows really fit the characters, if that makes sense. They really express the characters, help express the character's attitude, and it fits them. Each outfit fits the character, each individual character's attitude. And Elizabeth looking out the window is just so enchanting and so nostalgic. And how her and Lewis Edmonds' chemistry really connects to is beautiful. We have a frosted glass that Lewis Edmonds is just gonna break in his hands. JoJo, but Elizabeth was always nervous. You couldn't even tell if she was from remembering lines or the mystery of her husband. Well, keep in mind that there was teleprompters, and there was a teleprompter, and for the earlier episodes, there was, I would say, there was more rehearsal time. When they got into the heavier effects later on, Lewis Edmonds talked about how it cut into rehearsal time and stuff. So with the beginning, with the beginning episodes, like the episode one, look, they did table readings for the episodes. So Joan Bennett nailed her lines in this episode. I mean, she really sold her ass off. And she comes across as a character who you can respect, but somebody has the weight of the world on her shoulders, because she's not just dealing with bringing a stranger into the house. She's dealing with her brother as well, and her nephew, and her daughter, Carolyn. Jennifer, as beautiful as all the actresses were on the show, Joan Bennett just stood out. She has always so elegant. Yes, yes. Susie, I would be nervous though too if I thought my husband was dead in a trunk in my basement. Susie, don't make me check your basement. Uh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh god, that is true. Keep in mind what Susie just brought up. Great point. Dennis Patrick's Jason McGuire convinces her that Paul Stoddard died and that he buried Paul Stoddard in the basement in a trunk. Um, Newsflash, he didn't. He lied about the whole thing. Paul Stoddard's alive. JoJo, LOL, but Dennis Patrick was a great actor and wonderful villain. Yes, yes, he was. Yes, he was. By the way, when you first see Paul Stoddard, the back of Paul Stoddard's head, that's played by actor Joel Fabini, not Dennis Patrick. The first time we see Paul Stoddard's face is when Dennis Patrick plays him. Wish we saw Barnabas kill him. We saw Barnabas kill Jason McGuire. We saw Barnabas kill Jason McGuire. Lady Barbie doll. In Master of Dark Shadows, it was mentioned that Joan Bennett, having been used to Hollywood style productions, was very trepidatious about TV soap operas shooting with less practicing of lines. Yeah, but they had table readings though. Jennifer Joan Bennett, just like Jonathan Frid, made their real life nervousness work for their characters. Yep, I agree. Jojo, it didn't show for Jason. I don't remember that. In the when Jason McGuire is down in the Susie, I agree with Jennifer. Down in the basement, we see Jason getting choked by Barnabas. Barnabas's hand comes out the coffin, and he's choking Jason McGuire, and he chokes Jason McGuire to death. That's what they show. Jason dies being strangled to death. They do show it. Now they don't show him like going all the way to like his hand going all the way to the floor. But I think Barnabas lets him go after he dies. So, um, with Joan Bennett, I think the thing of it is you have an actress who's so talented, who, she herself often, made her nervousness work like Jonathan Frid, and it made her character all the more believable for it. Also, almost no retakes by Dan Curtis as opposed to Hollywood cutting and retaking. JoJo, no way I saw syndicated version and it wasn't there. I wanted to see that where their edited versions. I don't know where you saw it at, but if you watch it either on Tubi or if you own the Coffin box set, they show Jason McGuire being killed. So, New Jersey Network. I can't. Well, the thing of it is, they can't really edit the episode because it being shot in chroma key, so they can't take the part out. I don't think. Yes, it made Elizabeth Stoddard more believable, vulnerable. Lady Barb Breedall. Yeah, Elizabeth was very, very believable. And really, Jen Bennett, the body language of the actors and actresses, even in the pilot episode, was really, really good. And how everybody channeled their own energy and you could feel their energy in these characters was fascinating. JoJo, well, at least I got those wonderful Jonathan Fripp promos. There you go. There you go. Um, that is weird that they didn't show. I mean, I don't know what New Jersey Network does, but or how they would have removed it if they did. I have no idea. I don't think they did, but maybe this the way they cut. Maybe they cut it to commercial during then. I don't know, but that's weird because if you watch it on Tubi, it's there. If you own the Coffin box set, it's there. Also, now you don't get in this episode. By the time this episode ends, you get Victoria's arrival to Collinwood. Before all that, while she's waiting in the diner, her and Maggie have seemed to have formed a friendship. So, which is really interesting. It's back to Tubi for me, JoJo. It's back to Tubi for me. LOL. Yeah, it should be on there for sure. So I really like the fact that you get Burke Devlin, who, when he leaves, he's not too happy. You know, Wilbur. Did anybody like Wilbur Strake in the first? You know, anybody? I always thought he was shady. Not because he just worked for Burke Devlin either. Not just because he worked for Burke Devlin. I always thought he was shady. Private investigators tend to be shady, especially in television shows. I like how we meet Carolyn in the second episode. I like how we meet Carolyn. I have a daughter. Elizabeth tells Victoria Winters in the next episode, I have a daughter your age who's a little younger than you, and you see Carolyn dancing in the Blue Whale. Beautiful, beautiful. Nancy Barrett. What did you guys think of the Blue Whale? By the way, because keep in mind though, we do get shots of Seaview Terrace, not just we do get it as a backdrop, but in the early episodes, they do shoot at Seaview Terrace. Is it episode 275? Give me a second. It says his last appearance is episode 276. It might be 275 or 276. Watch both episodes. JoJo, it is episode 275. Okay, where Jason is killed. Yes. Yes. JoJo, I always love the music on the Blue Whale. It's on the DS soundtrack too. Yep. Jennifer, unless I am off, sometimes they are numbered different on Tubi. Yeah, the thing of that is you gotta watch that too because like when you watch the Vampire Curse on Tubi, it only shows certain episodes. But you can watch it. You can watch 1795 individually, though. You can watch the entire arc. Susie, you know I love my blue whale. I'm there every weekend. I noticed when we did our favorite episode podcast, most of the ones I chose had scenes at the blue whale. Yes, Susie secretly lives at the blue whale. That's a great place to be, by the way. Yeah, the DS soundtrack is a lot of fun. What's you guys' favorite score off the DS soundtrack? That's a question. What's your favorite score off the Dark Shadow soundtrack? Yeah, I do love how they have the Blue Whale music on the DS soundtrack because that's what I was most shocked by the DS soundtrack was how they did the opening with Victoria Winters. The Barnabas one, I hear your call. Yeah, JoJo. Yeah, that is good. That is really good. My favorite, obviously, though it's London Bridges, is Sarah's theme. Um, my favorite song is called The Seance. Yes, there you go. There's there's one that I really enjoy too. Well, I enjoy them all. When they do number one at the Blue Whale, and it just makes you feel like you're there. Like when you're listening to the soundtrack and you hear number one at the Blue Whale, it just makes you feel like you're there. That and I'll be with you always. Yeah, Judge. Great selections. Great selections so far, everybody. What's your okay? So the first episode, what's you guys' favorite scene from this episode? From episode one, the arrival here. I know what mine is. So. What's you guys' favorite episode? Or sorry, favorite scene from this episode, y'all? I know what mine is. So. Wow, wait. My favorite scene is the train scene in JoJo, the train scene in On the Beginning because of total atmosphere. Yeah, that one is really good. My favorite is the train yard. It feels like they just got off the train station. Sorry, when it feels like they just got off the train, and just the dialogue between, Alexandra and Mitchell is great. Lady Barbie doll, Vicky alone in the fog. Yeah, when she doesn't realize Burke's there at first, she feels alone. Um, Jennifer, the first shot of Liz, I love her hair and jewelry. She looks perfect. Yeah, that when she opens the window. Yeah, Joan Bennett is my god. Susie, my favorite scene probably is the one with Maggie and Victoria in the diner. Yeah, Jojo, the remake now, the beginning was beautiful with Knights in White Satin. Are you meaning the 2012 movie? The one with Johnny Depp? Yep. Okay. Yeah, the beginning was pretty good. Danny Elfman, by the way, Danny Elfman's score for that is really, really good. I recommend buying the soundtrack. If you can go find the 2012 soundtrack, buy it. You will not regret it. I promise. Um, at all. God, Danny Elfman. Jojo, the rest tanked until the original cast showed up. I feel they wasted the original cast. Really, I mean, they could have made a better point for them to be there. Um, Jennifer, the beginning of the movie is good. Yeah, the beginning of the movie is good. Jojo, yes, they did, sadly. Susie, I love the scene with Liz by the window, too. Yeah, great, great scene. I love how they get the frosted, they do the close up of the frosted glass in Roger's hand, by the way. Really, really good. I think with the 2012 movie, too, keep in mind when Maggie Evans is on the train, she looks up and she sees Winter. She sees it for Winter Sports, and she goes, "My name's Victoria Winters." So that's how they get Victoria Winters. I like the fact that they had Maggie being able to talk to Ghost. Ghost. I wish they would have used it more in the movie, but that's the movie. For this first episode, let me see. I'm trying to think what else I can ask you guys. Now there's characters we don't get introduced to right away, so I'll touch upon other stuff in other episodes. Obviously, I mentioned episode 2. What did you guys think of Nancy Barrett's Carolyn Collins Stoddard, who's introduced in the next episode? Jennifer, yes. Then and the rest of the movie is so disappointing. I had high hopes in the first 5 minutes, though. Yeah, the first 5 minutes just stop the movie there and go back. No. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Mark Gilman, me talked about this. The sets for the 2012 movie were really good. They had really good sets for that movie. They didn't have a good plot, but they had good sets. JoJo, the character development was slow for the show. They changed as storylines did. Well, character development on if you're talking about the original show, or if you're talking about like the movie, for the show, you gotta understand a show is episodic. So a show is all about the slow build and burn until you get to a major plot angle. So that's something too with television shows, whether it's Dark Shadows or anything else. You're not going to get a big reveal. You'll get some reveals in certain episodes, not big reveal. Okay, look at episode 1. We've been talking about it. What do you know about Victoria Winters? She was raised in a foundling home. She's from a foundling home. She's from New York City. So Susie Collins, I thought she brought a lot of fun to the show. She brought life to Collinwood, I think. Yeah, Nancy Barrett did a great job. You also figure out that Burke Devlin is from Collinsport. No, you don't get a complete backstory with Burke right away, but you do know that he's a Collinsport native. Susie Carolyn. Yes, Carolyn Collins Stoddard. Her middle name is Collins. Just saying. I love how she's dancing on the Blue Whale floor. Carolyn, one word, sassy. Jennifer, yes, yes, pure sassy, pure attitude. Reminds me of my teenage daughter. I mean, what? Teenagers. God. I was a good teenager. At least that's the story I'm going to stick to. Anyway. with this, with series, as I was saying, Lady Barbie doll. As a kid watching the TV show, I really liked Carolyn's character. She was vivacious and cool, loyal even in her rebellions. Yep. JoJo, did anyone read the book Victoria Winters? Victoria was probably Elizabeth's real daughter, left for adoption. Excuse me, Carolyn. Sorry, it's okay. Actually, if you're meaning Heiress of Collinwood, yeah, I read that book. Really good. Really, really, really great book by Laura Parker. who wrote the book. If you're meaning Heiress of Collinwood, yeah, I've read that. I've actually reviewed it here on the channel. Really great book. Actually, yes, I heard that too. The book Heiress of Collinwood, for the now spoiler alert. So if you reveals that Bill Malloy was Victoria Winter's father, that there was also gypsies involved, that they took Victoria and they're the ones who sort of put her on the Fallon home door. And Elizabeth was watching the whole time. So great book. Again, great book. Unfortunately, it's not canon. Unfortunately. Um, I really like how energetic Nancy Barrett's character is. And Yin's right. Very, very, very sassy. Very. She's sort of a take no prisoners character too. And here's poor Joe Haskell, who is stuck with a woman who is like totally dominating him. Jennifer, I love how Carolyn changes and grows over the course of the series. She is fun to watch no matter what. Absolutely. JoJo, Laura book. Yes. Yeah, great book. Great book. I've read it, reviewed it on this channel. Sorry, guys. Gals. Yeah, great book. I mean, just Dark. Now, what's interesting is Dark Shadows, the Salem branch. Some of the book inspired the 2012 movie. What I wish they would have done is tore up the script that they had for the 2012 movie, to grab Laura Parker by the hand and say, Miss Parker, could you please write us a Dark Shadows script for a movie? Because that movie would have been 1,000 times better. Dark Shadows, the Salem branch, is a great book. And really for the movie to take any credit that the book inspired, no. There's no. That book is amazing. Dark Shadows of Salem Branch. But for this episode, for the second episode, so I'll include some of the second episode. Burke is again talking to Wilbur Strake. Carolyn, she's dancing with men, not Joe Haskell. Joe Haskell, played by actor Joel Carruthers. Good old Joe. Good old Joe Haskell. You got to love him. The story is canon because Laura wrote it. It should have been added to the original series. Unfortunately, it wasn't, though. Books themselves aren't really canon to anything because they're not filmed for the series, or they were never really intended for the series themselves. I do love the reveal. I think that's the thing about the book. The book made a lot of sense. So it's easy to say, it should be canon, but at the same time, it's not canon because it's not actually a part of the series. I had a big old crush on Joe. Susie had a big old crush on Joe. I believe it. So does my wife. I mean, what? I'm going to hell. Oh, God. See, this is what married men do. They pick on their wives. They pick on their wives. It's what we do. And then we beg for forgiveness like the dogs that we are. Jennifer, me too. Yeah. Joe Haskell's a hunk. I got to give him credit. Because my most shocking thing is the fact that Joe Haskell later in the series ends up digging up a grave. Yes, Jennifer. Susie, yes, Jennifer. JoJo, good old Joe. Later, Nathan Forbes, a great heel. Absolutely. Joel Carruthers could play a heel. Hell of a heel. I love the fact that they have it. Not in this episode, but later on they have him digging up graves for Dr. Guffrey. My God. That's it's like and Joe's like so disturbed by it all. It's like you're getting into it now, son. Oh my God. So for the first two episodes, my favorite scene in the second episode is the fact that Burke Devlin breaks up a fight and tells Carolyn to go home. Jennifer's so sad he died so young. Yeah, yeah, it is sad. Great actor, great actor, Joel Carruthers. What's you guys' favorite scene in episode 2? There's a scene where I love how Bert tells Joe to come back after he takes Carolyn home. It's like you know Bert Devlin's up to no good. So, what was you guys' favorite scene from episode 2? I know we discussed episode 1, so I'll throw in episode 2 here to continues. Jennifer the dancing at the Blue Whale. Jojo, he did die young. Great guy. Edge of the Night. Anyone? I've never seen the show. I have heard it's good. The only gothic soap I watch is No Star Shows. I forget. My wife had me watch Days of Our Lives once. It was interesting. It's like, okay. Now, I will say with episode 2 that I love how Joan Bennett's like, I can't believe that Joe Haskell. Susie, maybe when Victoria meets Roger on Widow's Hill. Yes! Yeah, and that's where his ass finds out too that Burke Devlin's back in town. By the way, yeah, he's so shocked. My God. Did you say Burke Devlin? Did you say Burke Devlin? Yeah, I said Burke Devlin. No, she says yes. Oh my God. Tent for me to get some Z's. This was fun and thank you. You are so welcome. You are welcome. Thank you for stopping by, JoJo. Jennifer, good choice. Anyone on Widow's Hill is a winner. Yeah. Anything on Widow's Hill is creepy. Straight up creepy. The fact that Roger tells her about the widows too, which is creepy. Crazy good. So is you guys all you guys' favorite scene is it Roger and Vicky on Widow's Hill before we get on out of here because I think too with the episode you don't get a ton of reveal either. You just get enough fun, and the fact that you get Roger's reaction to Burke being back is priceless. He's in such fear of Devlin being back in town now. And it's a great sell job by Lewis Edmonds. It's criminally underrated. So criminally. I have no more questions for you. Sad to say. I have no more questions. If you guys have any questions for me, please ask before we get on out of here. It's first of all, thank you to everybody who stopped by before I go. There's going to be some links in the description box. Pay attention. Penny Dreadful is having a giveaway. Is having a lottery. If you go to her channel, which link will be in the description box, and subscribe and comment on her video, your name will be entered in a lottery to be drawn. I think it lasts a week. So by the end of, I think she said the 14th, you guys could watch the video. Link's going to be in the description box, and you could win some cool stuff. Susie, this is always so much fun. Thank you, Susie. Jennifer, thanks, Joel, and everyone. Thank you all, by the way, for stopping by again. So link to Tarot Collingwood's going to be in the description box. Go there, subscribe to that channel, leave a comment, and your name will be entered in the lottery. And no, this lottery is not to go into a cursed room that's haunted by Brutus. Susie, a lottery in Collinsport. Yes. Where have I heard that one before, right? Oh my God. Susie has a lottery to see who goes into a locker room. I'm certain of this now. I gotta get you back on here, Susie. I gotta get you back on here. Jennifer, haha, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Yeah. Lady Barbie doll, thank you. Again, thank you all for stopping by. This was a lot of fun to do, the anniversary of Dark Shadows, and talk about episode 1, talk a bit about episode 2. These are just always so much fun, and I thank you all for giving me your time. I really do. I can't do a live stream by myself. I have to have people, and the fact that I got some people in here to come in here and talk Dark Shadows with me is just so much fun. I love talking Dark Shadows with you guys, with the fans. It's just a pure joy for me, and I really appreciate you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much. Link to Penny Dreadful's channel, Tarot Collingwood. Link to Tarot Collingwood will be in the description box. Go comment, go sub to our channel, go comment on the video. Get your name in that lottery, you hear? Get that name in that lottery. It's a joy for us too. Thank you, Susie. Again, thank you all so much. This is my final send-off. You guys have a great night and enjoy. Bye.